Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Nick Reynolds, Steve Harness, and Cousin Brewski. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Back for another enthralling edition of The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, Olive Brewski. Episode number 1.
You're not getting rid of us that easily.
What's that?
Oh, hey, yeah, I said, A, you're not getting rid of us that easily, but B, we just turned 30, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh. The big 30. Nice.
This is the age when it becomes appropriate to start dating older men, right?
This is, according to you, for my parameters of the dating world.
Yes.
We can outdate the show. 30 and up.
We can do it now.
Acceptable.
Yes. Welcome to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve Olabrewski. Catch our socials on our webpage. They're all there. Go find them for yourself. See if I'm lying. TheVocalMinority.net. It's where you can communicate with the show and find out a very minimal amount of great things about us.
Technically, we're missing 2 socials on the website, but I don't know. Now that you made that claim, I just thought I'd point that out.
Truth Social is not a social. I'll just say that. But what's the other one, dude?
No, I don't know. There was 3 spots on the website to put social media. So I put, I think, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, but that leaves off Instagram and Twitter.
Telegram.
Right. Honestly, both of those websites kind of suck for us, so who cares? That's why.
We may be losing TikTok from what I understand here in the next, I don't know, maybe even week.
I can't believe that's going to actually happen. I know that there's the bill to make it illegal, and they've already passed a thing saying you can't have TikTok on government devices. But to really ban a website that popular, I would love to see how that's going to happen.
China.
Yeah, I know that's why, but still. I like, we do well on TikTok, so I don't want to lose that. I don't care if the Chinese are watching us. We want everyone watching us. So.
Yes, dude. We've got people over in Africa right now. We appreciate you listening to the program.
In Lagos, Nigeria.
Right. Yes. Spokane came on, and so did Las Vegas, Nevada this past week.
Yeah.
When did Spokane come on?
In the last week or 2 here. So,
nice.
Yeah, we're doing well in Washington State. That's our biggest amount of listeners in any one given state. That and then California. So
I'll tell you what, dude, there's one thing, my wife is an attorney.
And Nick has a maid now too.
If there's you bastard. If there's one thing that she's good at, it's promoting. I mean, she's really good at that. And I'm not real good at promoting. I've always felt a little awkward promoting myself, and it's terrible. I should do it, but it makes me feel strange. My wife promotes the program, and I think that's where some of these new listeners are coming from. She really promotes us, dude.
She travels a lot. She should just be randomly telling people.
She does. Every time she's on a plane, she comes home and tells me, I told people about your show, told them where to find, stuff
it's
like that.
It's ironic that you don't want to promote since you're in a promotion type of business, being in the public eye. So,
maybe we should get some swag made, like pens that she can kind of hand out,
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Brisky. I think where the self-consciousness comes from, is that a word, self-consciousness?
Sure, yeah. Why not?
Is from my father. He was so super proud of me when I got on the radio that we'd be in the line at a grocery store and we'd get up to the checker and he'd be like, "This is my son. He's on the radio," and he'd start telling everything about him, and I always got the let me hear your radio voice, that type of thing, and it made me feel so uncomfortable, and I think that stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, find us online, everyone. We'll promote in Nick's absence. And thank you to Rachel for stepping the game up. So.
That's right.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
we don't need YouTube. We just need Rachel. So.
Thank you.
I found a lot of people that I work with in radio, when they're not in studio on the air and they have to do appearances or something like that, and they have to interact with listeners, a lot of them are really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
With the listeners. Now in studio, they're fine. But
it's because by profession we get to sit in rooms alone. We don't have to interact with the audience.
Completely.
You actually get out in public and the people are there. Some people, get turned off by that.
Yeah, that was the
romantic. I like it up on stage in front of a bunch of people, but that's
I don't mind being on stage. You know what used to kill me is going to remotes. They used to have us go to car dealerships and stuff like that, and there's pictures on the table of us and not a ton of people, but I mean, people would come up and be like, "Can I get your autograph? Will you sign your picture for me?" And that made me feel so freaking stupid. I hated it.
I think it's hilarious. I told my son the other day that I mentioned something in passing about, I've signed some autographs and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "You've never signed an autograph." I'm like, "Dude, I used to be in a rock band. I've been on the radio for 25 years. You don't think anyone's ever asked me for my autograph, huh?"
Even if we don't have the fame, right? Listen to me, Crosby, please. Even if we do not have the fame, people come up and oftentimes ask for an autograph of anyone that's doing something spectacular because they think one day it might be worth money. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those people out there.
And in radio, we're all famous in like a 9-mile radius, in the town we live in. So it's all good.
Jen bought me a T-shirt a long time ago that was in these lettering from like Kiss puts their their name, and it said minor celebrity because I kept saying to her, Jen, when you're a minor celebrity, these kind of things happen, right?
Right.
And eventually she started saying, "You know what, you got to stop that because you actually believe it sometimes." And then what, like 2 days later, we're out and someone's like, "Oh my God, I know you. And then can you sign this?" And then
that's so funny, dude.
And then a month later,
your face.
And then, but then a month later, our house got broken into, and we had to buy a new back door. And of course, the one she wanted at the door place was way too much money. And the guy says, "Wait a minute, I listen to you all the time."
That's hysterical.
And he's just like he's like, don't worry about it. She wants this one here. Don't worry about it. I'll give you a discount. He cut 50% off the door. And she's like, "Well, I guess it does pay to know you, hon." I'm just like, "That's right."
Steve wears a "I'm famous in Tahoe" shirt around, or he used to. And it's so funny because obviously it's somewhat tongue in cheek, but at the same time, it's true. I mean, like, people know who you are, especially in Tahoe. When we were in Seattle, we had, less people who actually kind of knew us, but like, that's hometown, dude. People know who you are.
That's what I'm saying. Like radio, you're famous in your little town, and fame is always relative. Not everyone knows you clearly, but
sure.
There was I think I told you about this over the summer. I went through this, epically terrible breakup and was homeless for several weeks, living in hotels. And I was at a bar in the middle of frickin' nowhere, Nevada, drinking alone, like eyes welled up, like, just miserable. And some dude walks up to me and he's like, "I know you from the radio. Can we take a selfie for Instagram?" Now someone recognizes me. Now.
So funny. Yeah, it does happen at the wrong time sometimes. But yeah, well, I should be promoting our program. So see us on our webpage, thevocalminority.net.
Need to know news.
I said, "Oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire."
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for it.
I don't know. All right, need to know news. This is the segment of the show where we talk about the news that you either need to know because it's important or it'll make you sound smart around the water cooler. So these are our selections for this fine week of whatever week this is, middle of March. So this is an interesting one, both for the gaming community and for the parenting community. It's so funny to me, guys. We all, when we were kids, we played Atari and Nintendo and all that stuff. I don't know if you're aware of this because you don't have kids, but all of that stuff is back in style.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Like when we were growing up, it was always about the next console had better graphics and better games, and we always wanted that. But now it's gone backwards. There is the new high-tech stuff. Yeah, but there's a huge demand for retro video games out there, all the stuff that we loved as a kid. And there's a console out there right now that is a Super Nintendo knockoff. But it's being sold at Walmart. You can get it on Amazon, all sorts of websites out there that have these things. And it looks just like the original Super NES, the gray console with the little blue slider buttons.
Same size paddles and everything?
Yeah, it looks just like it. The packaging looks just like it. It's called the Super Mini SN02.
All right.
And this is not made by Nintendo, but it looks like it, and B, it comes preloaded with a few hundred games on it. And when you open up the home screen to it, it's got a picture of Luigi. It's got a Mike Tyson, punch out thing. It looks like a real deal Nintendo. The cool thing is some of those retro consoles are, even the remake ones are a few $100, but this one's being sold for $50. No.
Yeah, that's nice. I've seen some of the cheaper ones. Rachel, when we moved in together, had remake of an Atari 2600 like that had like 50 games,
Yes.
built into it or whatever.
I got one for my ex-wife years ago, and she and I sat around playing. It was a remake console, but you could play the original Nintendo cartridges.
Okay.
So we were playing Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt and all.
Frogger.
It's fun. It's cool.
Pitfall.
So the headline on this article about this Nintendo knockoff thing I'm talking about: gamers shocked that knockoff console comes packed with sexist and racist content.
They're shocked about it.
This is overtly like there's a Jungle Book style game. Mowgli is running around naked for some reason. There's a sexually explicit Ronald McDonald game. There is a part of one of these games where there are two little boys laying naked in a tent, and there's a little graphic heart over their naked butts, but it's clear they're laying there naked. And one of them's reading a book that just says PORN on it, just labeled porn.
That seems wrong to me.
Well, it's wonderful.
No, I don't know that it is, dude. I thought you were just going to say like some of the original games, obviously.
Exactly.
I was watching a guy on NBC News playing one of the games this morning. He's like, oh boy, this is overtly racist. We can't even show you what is happening on the screen right now. There's
Who
an
makes
email
it?
address.
Is it Chinese?
It is. It's made from China.
There you go.
Nobody knows. Was this a joke? Did somebody put real money behind this? And then some coder decided to go rogue on all these video games in there. There's an email address.
Raise, I'll show you.
Right. There's an email address hidden in one of these pornographic sections where somebody is trying to solicit you to email them. And
there's little Easter eggs in these games, and I think they were probably intentional.
Yeah, that's a great question. And all I know is I would say that for parents out there, definitely don't buy this for your children. But I would almost think for guys like our age that are into retro gaming, this thing might become some sort of collectible because it's riddled with sexist, racist, terrible versions. There's a Mickey Mouse that's all perverted. And by the way, they hide it. The first several games are all, just remakes and looks normal and whatnot.
But so these are in the actual game menu. It's not a sub menu.
Yes. Nope.
Wow.
No, it's when you get down to games for 30, 40, 50 on the list, they start getting overtly racist and sexist.
That's crazy, dude.
Like I said, some reporter, they had to blur the screen. He was just like, oh, this is a little weird. Oh, no. We can't show this. This is over the top racist.
That's insane that it's that bad.
Yeah. So again, this is available, or was, at Walmart, Amazon, all sorts of retail stores. Looks just like a Super Nintendo. But caution.
Would you buy it to have a look? I mean, are you curious?
I mean, there's something sort of kooky novelty about it. It's like any of the old collectibles that, have panned out to be racist or sexist, or now that we look back at them.
Well, that's a little bit different. That's like something that was accepted at one time, but now it is not. It's kind of like people who collect mammies and stuff like that. You know,
right?
Yeah. There's a lot of Disney DVDs or old VHS really that have sexual content, pictures of penises hidden in the background of Little Mermaid and stuff. And those have become big time collectibles because Disney caught them and got rid of them. But so I don't know. Would I personally no, I'm not going out and drop $50, but I can see people now wanting to buy this for the weirdness of it.
It's like eating at Chick-fil-A, dude. Don't give them your money.
Right. So gamers beware. And if you're looking for
Need to know news you need to know.
And if you're looking for it, it's the hot item. So I guess go get that.
Well, they may not be available because they might be all bought up.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, they sold out in Kentucky real fast. They sold out in Idaho.
They felt it was an upgrade from the originals, actually. About time. So there you go. That's my need to know news for you. Nick, what do you got?
We love your need to know news. Speaking of things that are racist and wrong, let's talk about Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. Need to know news you need to know.
Palm Beach, Florida, Dateline. Fox News host Tucker Carlson may have expressed his hatred of Donald Trump in the clearest possible terms, but the former president can't seem to let himself believe the facts. Imagine that. On Sunday night. So do we know what Tucker Carlson's text said, basically? I mean, should I talk about him?
Yeah, I mean, he just did this whole fake, January 6th riot thing, and tied in with all of that, some other admissions have come out. So yeah, I would highlight them.
He was referencing text messages recently released in a defamation lawsuit filed by Dominion Voting System. They're suing Fox. Can't talk about it. And we got some Carlson texts talking and letting people know. Who was he? I think he was texting Rupert Murdoch. Yeah.
Well, he was either texting producers or other Fox News staff.
Letting them know.
Other Fox News staff. I mean, I just don't think Murdoch's going to be getting on a whole lot of texts with Carlson. I just think he's maybe a little bit beneath him.
Right.
I hate him passionately. The first text said what he's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that.
Champion.
He could easily destroy us if we play it wrong, Carlson said in one of the many damaging exchanges. So, I mean, the list was long.
Well, he at one point, these are two of my favorites. He said, this is him texting in one of the Fox News people. He said, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump. And then he said, I hate him passionately.
Yeah, that was the real damning one that you hate him passionately?
Right. I mean, I don't know how much further proof Fox News viewers need to know that they are flat out lying to you. Not fudging the truth. I mean, they are just freaking lying to you, treating you like gullible idiots, and you keep sucking it up.
They're planning on it. I mean, the whole network is built around fooling you, tricking you, and you're falling right into the trap. So.
I mean, we've been saying this for years. The Fox News is not news. It's a propaganda channel. The reason they call it fair and balanced is to trick you into believing that might actually somehow be true. But now we are seeing from the hosts themselves, they are lying to you. Why Fox News viewers haven't just stopped watching, I will never understand, except that they like being preached to,
Well, you do know that back in 2003, there's a C-SPAN video, and it's Tucker Carlson on a program called Book Club, which is on C-SPAN. And he sits there and basically says that everything on these conservative outlets, all these people, they don't really believe what they're saying. That this is all a show. And what happens if they ever get caught not believing what they say they do?
Yeah.
Listen, we used to have a piece of audio that we played that said this is for entertainment purposes only, because we wanted folks to know. Don't believe this, please.
Yeah. Well, now we're finding out what happens when they're, they look behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz style. Apparently no one cares in their audience.
Exactly. So this is funny, dude. So all of that happened, and then Tucker Carlson released a video, right? Went through how many 1,000 hours of footage from the January 6th riots. I think it's 40,000 or 4,000. Is it 40,000?
I don't know, but it was, yes, thousands of hours of previously unseen footage that was released only to Fox News, thanks to Kevin McCarthy, who is now in charge in the Congress side of things.
So he went through, or I doubt he did, but producers did, and they did a nice job with it, by the way. They went through all this video and got about 3 minutes or so out of it. It was the day of, the January 6th insurrection, and he was commentating on it, saying, this doesn't look like a riot to me. This looks like guided tours of, right. Spirited fans of our government, coming to get a tour. And they had video behind it, like the Shaw man that is in jail right now, is being walked around by officers. And it's funny because they show this over and over again. It's part of the video, saying he's getting a tour. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And the police officers have come out and said, you are taking this completely out of context. This was early on, and we were in the middle of a de-escalation procedure right there. You can't hear the audio from it.
Listen, you could take video of almost anything, any sort of riot, a porn video, and you can take out all of the sex and violence and just go, hey, look, this is totally benign and normal. I mean, it's the definition of editing something out of context.
We used to have people come into the radio station when, come in and look at the radio station, and we'd have them say something into the computer. And in about 4 seconds, have them saying the opposite and it sounding natural. And people are like, what? Right. Wow. Yeah, like it's really easy.
It's closer to an SNL parody than it is an actual news story, to the way they edited everything.
Well, Trump loved it. He loved it so much that he said...
it's wonderful.
Yeah. Fox News host Tucker Carlson is obviously my friend. I mean, if he hated me, he doesn't anymore. Trump said in his post that he put on Truth Social last night. He doesn't hate me anymore. Like, look what he put up. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you know why? Because Tucker called him and basically kissed his butt for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, however long Trump needed a little bit of a rump swap. And
is that true or an opinion?
That's an opinion on my part. Okay. I will say that. But if I granted, there's no way that Trump got all excited over just Tucker playing the videos that making it look benign, January 6th, that is. I'm quite certain that a call at least was made to Trump to basically beg him to, I can't believe that got taken out of context. That's not what I meant. And, that sort of thing.
Fake news, Donald.
Oh, the irony. I was taken out of context in my text. So let me make an entire show taken out of context to try to do a mea culpa. And again, we've talked about this before in the show. Like, Trump is such a narcissist that I'm sure in his brain that all adds up. Like, Tucker can't hate me. He thinks I'm wonderful. Look at his video he put together of me. I mean, he's the delusion. And again, why freaking his base doesn't see any of this? The Fox News audience.
I will say tells them what they want to hear. That's why.
Oh, exactly. That's the level of denial. Yeah.
I know intelligent people. Like, I know people that I have intelligent conversations with that I walk away from having learned something, and I'm like, wow, insightful, that buy into all of this. Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Like, I understand that the uneducated just eat it up, but so do the educated in some places, which just blows my mind.
Well, you know what I think it is, and this is that a lot of these people, and this is going to make them sound awful, and I don't mean to, but a lot of them, they're more than likely white folks, and they know that they are becoming a minority in this country, and they see it all, quote unquote, slipping away. I want my country back, sort of thing. And they see Trump as a fighter, and that not only is he just a fighter on his own stuff, but he's fighting for them, and he's going to make sure that they don't get left behind. And that's why I think even smart people get pulled in.
Yeah, he's playing to their fears. That is exactly. That is for sure true. And Nick, have you talked to your brother about this kind of stuff? I mean, your brother's a smart, educated man, and I know he's a Fox News viewer.
That's who I'm mainly like thinking about in my mind when I have some of these thoughts of like intelligent, good-hearted people, like people that I like and love, like are sucked into this. I oftentimes think if my dad was still alive, like towards the end of his life, he was, my dad drove a lot for his profession. He was listening to Rush Limbaugh, and like I saw my dad had a huge heart, like would do anything for anybody. That's how I know, like, good people fall into this. He was a very smart man. Yeah. He was getting pulled in by Rush Limbaugh, and I oftentimes think, like, and he was becoming somewhat hateful, in my view anyway, enough that I had to talk to him about it. Yeah. But I think if he were around, I think that there's a possibility he'd be pulled in by this, which just blows my mind. My brother is a really educated, college-educated, worldly educated person with a huge heart. Once again, he likes Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. People like hearing their, whether you want to call them narrow views or whatever, they like hearing them articulated back nicely to them. And then it creates a rabbit hole that people just go falling straight on down. If it came out that Rachel Maddow or Chris Hayes or somebody, like if they were just lying to us, if we saw their text saying they hate Biden and can't wait to stop, being part of this con. And I would stop watching. I swear to God, I would stop watching.
Be an easy pullback, dude. I would have stopped. I would never watch again.
Right.
Well,
but somehow Fox News is going to just keep on going right through this fine.
Well, it's like they always say, though, liberals and Democrats fall in love, Republicans, conservatives fall in line.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No, it's sad.
Thank you for that, Brewski.
Well, the reason
Need to know news. News you need to know.
The reason this is need to know news is you people have got to start helping us spread the word. Fox News is just freaking lying to your grandfather, your uncle. If you're watching it, just stop. Please. Stop. You can make up your own news. It'll be just as accurate.
Exactly.
Now, I'll tell you an organization that does not lie to you, and that is the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, a la Brewski over here as well.
Indeed.
Now, when we came back after a 16-year hiatus on this show, for some reason, the very first thing we started talking about, I mean, the microphones cracked open. Nick, do you remember what you threw out at us? It was a phenomenon, which I know you love highlighting.
It's a phenomenon.
It was a phenomenon, right? And you didn't believe me at the time that it was a phenomenon, but
what is it?
Soon you saw. It's women not wearing bras, right?
Yes. I did not know that this was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
I thought it was a COVID-related thing. Like women took off their bras while we were all staying at home. They stopped wearing them, I guess. But no, it's much bigger than that.
Yes. And
we've
sometimes smaller.
Right. We've heard it discussed on The View, which gives it a lot of credibility right there. So, but I have an article here about a mom has fallen victim to criticism around her decision to ditch her bra.
Yeah,
now,
some people don't like it.
Now, first of all, I will say this mom is smoking hot. She looks like Barbie. I mean, she's just, perfect figure, gigantic rack, blonde haired. And apparently the moms in the PTA club are not happy that she's not wearing a bra.
That's why, because she's hot. That's
of
why.
course. This is the whole thing. It's apparently none of the men in her community are complaining, but the mothers, blonde beach bunny Ashley Colfaggi, I don't know, spends most of her time at the shore catching waves and sunning in a swimsuit. When the mom is getting dressed in something besides a bikini, she decides to go bra free. But not everyone agrees that it's the right move. She's got a TikTok page, and shockingly, it's doing well. And it's all the moms in her community that hate upon her. And this brings me to a theory that I was thinking about this week that, we're in the Me Too movement era. We're in a whole era of femininity and pro woman and all that stuff, which is good.
Making progress.
Yeah. But do you know who hates women the most?
Other women.
Other women. That is exactly right.
I mean, there's a lot of groups over the last 10 years that have really made it a point, even in their friend groups or wherever they are, to be we have to stop beating each other up. We're so powerful together. And it is odd that needs to be said.
Yes.
But it's not new though. It's always been that way.
Yeah.
Women will always tell you that they hate women more than even the worst woman-hating man does.
Yes. That's the thing. Women could rule the world because technically they're 51% of the population. So if all women band together, they could vote in every elected official. The WNBA should be sold out every night. Women could rule the world, but they don't because they hate other women. I'm starting to wonder if men have anything to do with sexism and wage, discrepancies and all this stuff. Women seem to really hate themselves, or not themselves. They hate other women.
Yeah.
I think it's a competition thing, for the most part. Well, just like this. I mean, not all women, but there is a group of women out there that do look at that hot girl that's not wearing a bra and be like, have some respect.
Right.
That whole type of thing. Anyone could do it. Anyone could not wear a bra. And I've seen ugly people do it. I've seen beautiful people do it. But
right. Would they be criticizing the overweight mom, though, at the PTA?
Yeah. Right. I don't know that.
Well, remember,
no, they would not be.
Remember that it was Elaine Bennis who complained about Sue Ellen Mischke, the Henry heiress there, who was walking around without a bra.
Yes. This has definitely been a thread that's been going on in pop culture for a while. We were talking about whether or not breast implants were still a popular thing, because they really aren't. And why did that go away? I've always had this theory. I've said it on the show before that women, women's magazines, Vogue, Esquire, like any of these women's fashion magazines, they're run by women.
Yeah.
So women are projecting onto other women what they think guys want: big boobs, hourglass figure, whatever it is. No one's actually surveying the guys per se, and guys aren't in charge of Vogue or any of these women's magazines. It's women putting it on to other women. It's women hating on other women that is why they are not elected president.
Listen,
so many women during Hillary's campaign said, "I don't want to vote for a woman." Like, what?
Yeah, which is crazy to me. I don't understand it either. You'll see the campaigns have changed as far as, I mean, if we go back even 10 years ago, like when you never saw a model that needed or had the perception of needing to drop a few lbs. You know what I mean? Like full-figured women were a niche category that you could go look at, but they weren't on Target's ads. They weren't on all the big ads. Yes. Now they are. So do you think that comes from women who are like, we got to get our stuff together, ladies, like represent everybody. We're all beautiful, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I have a theory that comes from women that feel better when they see women that look worse than them. This article is talking about the fact that this woman wears no bra and she's smoking hot. All the women in her school are hating on her. Women feel better when they get to see the woman on the cover of the magazine that is overweight, because then they're like, you go, girl, you live your true life. But meanwhile, I'm going to jump off a bridge if I look like that.
I've heard women say multiple times, multiple different women in my life throughout the ages tell me that when you're a nice looking woman or even a mediocre looking woman, it's always good to have a fat friend. Like it's always good to have a fat friend. And I feel
they make you feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes you feel better. And which is a little sick, ladies. Come on.
Well,
Steve doesn't like to have me around because I'm robust.
Right. It's a very valid point. That's what I'm saying. I don't think men are actually a big part of the sexism problem. I actually think it's women. And
I think we've got a place in all of it. Let's not give us complete out here.
I'm just saying they could take it over if they wanted to. They are majority of the population. They could run every company, every government if they wanted to. Sure. If women would group together, they could rule the world, but they don't. They hate each other.
Well, but also let's think about this though. They also have differing opinions, and they all want to be the one in charge. So it's like
they all do.
Well, yeah, they all. I mean, some of them might fall in line behind another person, but I'm sorry, I'm being distracted here. For some reason, I'm having a problem. Okay.
Mentally, what are we talking about? What just happened there?
No, my laptop started popping up messages about things that was going to use different hardware or something. Just came out of nowhere.
I get it. All right.
Need to know news. News you need to know.
So there you go.
His laptop is on the fritz.
Right. Did you want to conclude your point, or did we get to it?
No, it's okay.
Okay. My point of this article is, women, you could solve all of these problems all by yourself. And by the way, I actually think our governments would be better off with women in control. Men are kind of stupid in many ways. And we don't have the best track record of, war and peace and all that kind of stuff. So
here's another great example of a woman doing terrible things, dude. So my wife runs a team. And one of the people on her team was a young man. And he was just a terrible person to work with. Insubordinate, missed deadlines, was just a bad employee.
Yeah.
My wife goes and talks to her manager, who is a woman, and says, so-and-so is just doing all these things and is terrible. Her solution is, well, before we let him go, let's see if he does better working for a man.
Oh,
jeez.
Ouch.
Another woman said that, dude, that's in a position of authority or power.
Right.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Well, and I understand we're talking about women hating on other women here, but many years ago when I was working in retail, I had a female coworker that I was not attracted to, who would touch me very inappropriately. Like she'd come walking up to me at my desk and start touching my face. And then she started touching my backside. and grabbing and saying, "Oh, touching my arms. Oh, feel these muscles," and that sort of thing.
Wow.
So I went to one of my managers there at the store where I was working, and I told him, "Listen, if you don't do something about this, I'm going to,
I'm gonna bend her over."
No, and I can guarantee you, by the time I'm done screaming at her, she's gonna be crying, and it's gonna be an HR situation. Because I've told her to back off several times, and she wouldn't do it. She was an older woman. She was coming on to me, and then he said, and he says to me, "Jason, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that." I'm like, what? He said,
"Oh my God, why doesn't he believe it?"
Wait. He says, "I don't believe that men can be sexually harassed."
Come on, yes, sure they can.
And I said, and so we, and I said, "Listen, Brian, if I got to go to HR, I will, or if I have to, I will take it into my own hands, and I will scream at her, and I will, and then it's going to become a real big problem."
Yeah.
And so
you would take it in your own hands and scream. Yes.
In the McDonald's bathroom.
Now, if it was a different coworker, I would have been like, I wouldn't have been.
Let's not be a hypocrite.
Discriminating.
Yeah, either you're offended or you're not.
Well, come on. Okay. If it's a hot coworker, you're not going to be bothered by it.
Let me tell you, dude, I had a hot coworker sexually harass me at a radio station, and I was in a relationship, for a long-term relationship. It really bothered me.
Oh, Snickers.
No, it was a woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if harassment should be gauged on the attractiveness of the other person, but I understand your point. I saw a video on TikTok the other day about a woman who keeps getting sent home from work for wearing risque outfits that the human resources director would send her home every day. And she was showing her outfits. They were not risque at all, but she was this tall, hourglass, big boobed, blonde haired woman. And HR kept sending her home every day. And then she did this little thing where the main HR director got sent away for like corporate training, and the corporate office sent a guy in for the week. And she would each day have to go and get her outfit approved. And, the guy never sent her home because the guy was looking at her going, "It's not inappropriate. It's not low cut. It's not anything. Like, I get that you're showing off your figure." And then the woman comes back and is like, "Get out of here, you hussy."
Listen, dude, I'm pretty positive that I'm going to say that I have a little bit of woman inside of me. Like I a little piece of my heart.
I have a feminine side, but my feminine side's gay. So we both like women.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect, dude. All right. My thought process is, if you were to sit down and talk to a group of women, this would be the two main issues with being a large-breasted woman. Just boob sweat. I think it's number one. Like, women with big boobs do not like boob sweat, and it's a problem. I've heard of, it's
a phenomenon.
Sure it is, dude. They put maxi pads underneath their breasts because they sweat so bad underneath their boobs, all right?
Wow. Sounds like natural lubricant, though, for some fun.
Dude, they're at work, Steve. Number two.
You get like 2 breaks a day. Come on.
When you have big boobs, and naturally, especially, just clothes fit you differently. I only date people with big boobs. All right.
Yeah, we've heard you discriminate on this show. You've walked out on women who take their shirts off and have itty bitty little things.
Yes. So
skeeter bites.
Skeeter bites.
Which is so hurtful, but yes, go ahead.
I'm not hurting you. Leave me alone, dude.
What a white man thing to say.
I will tell you this, though, that clothes fit them differently. And they say, I've talked to multiple that they feel like it's hard to not look slutty. And I make the finger quotes because men stare at them. Sure. Men stare at women with big boobs, whether they're ugly or beautiful. I'm just saying the facts.
Well, is that a fact, though? Because I had a female friend, Emily. She's told me before, like, if guys are into big boobs, why aren't they into big fat chicks? Because they have huge boobs. And I think it's a good point. It's not just big boobs.
No, but it's completely different. They're two different kinds of boobs. Because you've got like real nice round ones, but then you've got Abdul the Butcher ones. And if you've got Abdul the Butcher ones that look like a big flapjack, that's not happening.
So if a woman is obese but has firm breasts,
listen, even if an obese woman is wearing a bra so they look like they could be great, most men will look at them. Most men Listen, Brewski, I'm being honest with you here. I'm not saying me. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying Steve. I'm saying most men. We are clearly not most men. All right.
I mean, we're the exception. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Listen, those are the two biggest problems: boob sweat, and it's hard to not look slutty at the office.
Okay, now I will say this: having obviously worked in radio as long as I did, including in sales, I had coworkers when I worked at a particular sales radio company in Seattle, and I had a couple of coworkers who were very large-breasted women, and when they were going to close a sale, they had what they would call their clothes.
Sure, they wear a special outfit that it kind of showed off the tig old biddies.
Exactly, and you know what? Our sales manager would actually ask them, "Hey, you wearing your clothes today, or what? Or we're closing a deal today. I see you have your clothes on. You go get them. You go get them." And
I know. At one point in Seattle, we hired a former playmate for that reason. But I don't know, guys. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been doing sales now for a long time, and I had a few attractive women come and go from the sales departments, and they kind of sucked at sales because, you still have to have the fundamentals. You still have to ask for the money. And if you pressure somebody into signing on the dotted line, they may, but it skyrockets buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
So once his horniness goes down, I would wonder how many of those contracts ended up getting canceled a day later, a month later, or whatever it was.
No, but you have to understand, these two, the women I'm talking about at this particular place, it went beyond their looks, because these were some of the highest grossing salespeople in the company, and they weren't just there, but at other media companies where they worked in Seattle and had worked there for a long time.
Then this goes to my other point, then, that women think that men need this stuff to buy something off of them. They need big boobs. But if what you're saying is true, then it doesn't. You don't. You just need good sales fundamentals.
Listen,
I mean, being an attractive person helps you in life in general. It makes people like you a little better, and that helps in sales. But you don't need to have the big old titties hanging out there.
This is how that it is counterintuitive for women to get together, because you've got women on two different sides, right?
Yeah.
Dressing this way to make a sale, and then women who want to work hard and smart to make the sale.
I mean, otherwise, every sales department at every radio station would be nothing but big-breasted women. Why is that not a phenomenon? Because there is more that is needed for that. But, being attractive helps you in life.
Sure.
I told this to my ex once, that if you're interviewing for a job, you as an attractive blonde, that if all things are considered equal with the other candidates, you're going to get the job because you're more attractive. And people just naturally gravitate towards people that are attractive people. Doesn't mean you have to dress.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to dress skanky, but just being a good-looking person, if all things are equal, does help you. And she was hurt by that notion, that you're telling me I've gotten advances in life because I'm attractive. I'm like,
yes,
yeah, you have.
Listen to me. Maybe it's not that alone, but it helps. Ask
That's
Uncle
what I'm saying.
Jesse,
if all things
dude.
are equal,
John Stamos. Listen, acting-wise, man. He's in the Beach Boys, dude. John Stamos is in the Beach Boys. It's not because he's a talented or an uber talented musician, right?
Right. Yes. No, that's very true. It cuts across the gender lines there. So there you go.
Indeed, it does.
Need to know news. News you need to know.
Brewski, you got anything? What's on your list over there?
Well, this is not so serious, but we need to file this under "Ooh, That Smell." We always know that song by Leonard Skinner, and
I don't.
Oh, okay. Anyway, here's the headline: Woman finds husband's body while getting Christmas decorations from a closet 8 months after he went missing.
Poof.
He's been missing for 8 months, and she found him in the closet at their home.
Yes. And it says an Illinois man reported missing last April was found dead 8 months later in a hideaway closet in his home.
So she killed him, obviously. How do you not smell a body in your home after 8 months?
Mouse dies in your house, and 2 weeks later, It's like, oh my God, what is that smell? And it lasts for weeks, dude. That's a smelly man.
Well,
Guaranteed.
the county coroner's office said that he had committed suicide.
Well, he was not married to a very nice person, apparently. So
Yeah.
that might track. But he committed suicide
And
in the
8 months,
closet.
and
But
and
he's
how
still
do-
been in there for 8 months.
but
Maybe
eight-
he
eight-
killed himself in the house and she rolled him into the closet. Would he hang himself from the coat rack?
That's true.
That part that doesn't say. But here's the thing, though. It doesn't take 8 months for the smell to come out.
No.
You know what I mean?
Takes a week or two.
Yeah, exactly. So she found it only after she called the cops because she said, hey, this weird smell in my house. And then it says during an initial search of the home, police were unable to locate the missing man. Later, a second search was conducted at the home after Jennifer, the wife, complained of a smell.
Interesting. I mean, he must have been buried under so many Christmas ornaments to be concealing that kind of thing.
8
Will
months.
smell nicely, I guess.
I just don't get that.
Maybe
Yeah,
he was just in a closet full of candy canes, dude.
Well, but I mean,
know?
listen. There was that guy that was in a boat. His boat sank, and he was in a lifeboat, and he lived on ketchup packets for 2 weeks. I get that. But what, this guy was subsisting on candy canes, and then he OD'd, and he's like too much sugar or something. And
No, maybe it was blocking the smell though for a long time.
Well, I'm going to call this need to know news for the fact that actually, I don't know why we need to know this.
Need to know news. News you need to know.
Die in the living room, not in the closet. That's what the moral of the story is.
Yes.
I think that maybe perhaps there may have been some marital problems here. So we are providing a service that we need to be more cognizant of our relationships.
I think he was also announced the world champion of hide and go seek.
Right.
Yes.
Hey,
Well,
Brewski, what's your we've been talking about women and whatnot. What's your Boebert story?
Oh, well, this one's really, really funny. So Lauren Boebert, she's a congressperson, obviously from Colorado.
Yeah.
And she wants to ban comprehensive sex education from schools.
Yeah, which I've never understood why this is a conservative thing. I mean, I guess the notion is if you don't tell kids about sex, they won't go have it, which is obviously preposterous and absolutely leads to teenage pregnancies and diseases and all that
Terrible
kind of stuff.
things, dude. I have people that I know conservative that are like, I don't want them teaching my kids that. I'll be in charge of that. Like, yeah, but you don't do it, and you're not educated.
Right.
So,
and how is Lauren Boebert doing teaching her kids about sexual education, Brewski?
Well, yeah, because we know now that she revealed this past week that her 16-year-old son knocked up his girlfriend, and she's going to become a grandma at age 36.
She from Colorado or Kentucky?
Well, and let's remember she was also a teen mom who quit school and went to work at McDonald's. So, I mean,
right. This is a family tradition she's keeping going.
Exactly.
Sexual ignorance. Yeah. I mean, it's a terrible idea to not be teaching sex ed. And that proves it out right there. I hate to admit to this. I hate Lauren Boebert in so many different levels. God, she's
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, absolutely, she is. Yeah.
Okay. Am I was saying,
no.
One.
Listen, you guys. Listen.
Yeah.
She is a terrible person.
Yeah,
That doesn't
sure.
turn you off.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, I've said on the show many times, I'm not going to go data conservative because I couldn't tolerate it. But man, she drives me nuts. But then I see her, I'm like, God, but you're kind of hot. It bothers me.
Listen,
It was like the Sarah Palin thing. I despised her too, but yeah, she's kind of hot. Like it just confuses my simple male brain.
I could see myself in a relationship with her for 20 minutes, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm sure you'll tell your girlfriend now, Steve.
What?
One of the things I'm so attracted to you is your intelligence. Like, what's inside your brain. So
Sure.
I wonder why it's not opposite. Like, why doesn't she just look so ugly to you that she is so stupid? And has all these terrible ideas and hates minorities. I mean,
yeah, no, listen, I'm not proposing that I want to be in a relationship with this woman. I'm not even saying I want to throw down with her. I'm just saying she is kind of hot, and it always bothers me because I hate her so much. But
makes you
there's
feel
still
weird.
part of my brain that's like, but she's kind of cute, right?
Yeah. You feel
that Tim Allen side of your brain, dude.
Right.
Oh.
This is again why women could rule the world, because a terrible woman like that, I'm still thinking like, yeah, you're a moron, but you're kind of pretty.
yeah,
So
exactly.
she's also talking about like oh God, what did she say? What did she say about this? I said it earlier to you guys, and it just slipped my brain. She's having a grandbaby. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I can't think of it, dude.
I don't know that she's hot. That's probably why.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
I'm just caught up on her hotness, but I don't find. I mean, obviously, I find her hotter than like Nancy Pelosi or something physically. But
Sure.
I'd rather
Big
spend an
age
evening
difference,
with
too.
Pelosi, to be honest.
No, listen, I mean, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert are the same terrible human being, but one's attractive, and it just crossed
And the other-
my brain a little bit.
And the other one has hobbit feet. Have you seen those feet?
No.
Holy- Yes,
No.
they had a picture. She was at a Republican fundraiser. This was about a year ago.
Of
and
her
she
feet?
What happened was they took a picture of her with her wearing her dress, and then somebody happened to notice something amiss with her feet, and so they zoomed in on the photograph. And I will tell you something. You talk about hammer toes; those babies were awful, and they're all kind of like crooked and weird. And I'm like, well, why are you wearing open-toed shoes? I know it's the summer, but you know your feet look that bad. No.
Need to know news. News you need to know.
And I don't even like feet, but even I'm just like, ugh.
Hey, dude, do we have a little time for a final thing?
We're in our final 10 minutes here, yes.
All right. I know you guys both know about this story because I briefly talked to both of you about there was a podcaster and her husband killed in Redmond, Washington.
Yes.
By a stalker.
This leaked its way into my relationship this week, yes.
Brewski sent me this article, and I had seen it, but we kind of chatted just for a second about it. Then Steve writes me, and he was like, this is making Dottie even more paranoid that this is what we do for a living. Like, is she really afraid?
Well, we've talked about this on the show before, where she's been generically worried about crazy stalker fans out there. She's been worried about exes of mine that are clearly crazy. And she watched Play Misty for me, the movie about the crazy fan that kills the radio host.
But dude,
So,
is this just like silly conversation, or does she lose sleep over it?
I don't think she's losing sleep over it, but it's not a silly conversation either. It's somewhere between where it's on her radar of something she's a little concerned about. And when she sees an article like podcast host killed by stalker, it freaks her out a little bit. Yes. Freaks me out too, a little bit, but...
No, dude, as we discussed, I mean, you could replace any profession into this headline.
Of course.
Gas station worker killed, stalked and killed, you know, like this just happens to be about a podcaster, but this is the deal. The lady does a podcast, or did a podcast, I should say.
Not anymore.
What were her numbers? That's what I'm most intrigued about.
How
many downloads do you need before stalkers really come after you?
So this person met her, this guy that killed her, met her on a social media website. So they were talking, and then he was like, oh, you've got a podcast, I'll come and listen. So he was already obsessed with her. So relax, Dottie.
Perfect.
He had sent her gifts. He had called her as many as 100 times per day. All right. Wow. He had her phone number. So there's the other thing. Don't give your phone number out to people.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know? Okay. So this was, I mean, I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm just saying, like, these are some precautions that you could take if you don't want to be stalked.
Yeah.
Yes.
The sad thing is that she had gone to the police several times and said, like, he's stalking me, he's following me, and she finally got or put in for a restraining order that was never served because he was a long haul trucker. So they
couldn't find him.
Couldn't find him. Then he showed up to her house and killed her and her husband, then himself.
Yeah. And by the way, restraining orders, if someone is going to go kill somebody, what's a piece of court paper going to do to stop them? Nothing.
Exactly.
Obviously. But the police should have been way more diligent about this. Did they go talk to the person? I had to call somebody here in my town. And I told Dottie, hey, for what it's worth, I'm at much bigger risk from my local audience than I am from the podcast audience.
Exactly.
Who wants to commute to kill somebody, right? But here in my own little hometown on the radio, that's actually a bigger threat. I don't think that made her feel any better whatsoever.
Yeah, not to worry you, but that guy just killed all those, Idaho college students that was all the way across the state. So
yes. And I've said before, my prediction of how I'm going to die is I'll be sitting here on the radio talking away and someone's going to walk up behind me and shoot me in the freaking head because they know where the radio station's at or whatever. But I had to call the cops once in my hometown because I was doing my morning show and I was doing my lefty liberal stuff. And this guy just kept leaving these voicemails and they escalated and escalated. And I did call the cops and they went and directly talked to the guy and told him, like, we're in on you. We know what you're doing. Knock it the hell off. Something happens to Harness. You're the first person we're coming after. I mean, they went and confronted him and let him know the realities. And I wonder if anyone did that in this story.
Well, you know what? That's dangerous, right? If you don't have a restraining order in place, because in my mind as a criminal, that only amps me up. It's like, oh, if I'm going to do something to this guy, I better do it quick because they're watching me. I'm going to go kill him quickly. But
the restraining order is the same thing. Like they're on to me. I would think having a cop standing at your front door saying, I see you. I know who you are. Don't go hurt the radio guy. Like, I would think that would help more than just some court paperwork.
Well, if you have the restraining order, you will be able to, the guy or the girl, whoever the restraining order is against, will go to jail if he or her does certain things.
Sure. I'm not saying don't get the order. I'm just saying a little FaceTime from the cops would be very helpful.
Yeah, maybe in some cases, but it wasn't here. I don't know if there was any FaceTime. From what I read and understand, police seem to have really kind of dropped the ball on this because he was a long-haul truck driver, but there were other areas that they dropped the ball on and didn't move quick enough and didn't take seriously.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the cops did enough in the story. And by the way, if you're a long-haul trucker, I know it's harder to track you down, but you've got a route. You've got destinations you got to be at. They couldn't wait for him in one of these?
Or I watched enough, CSI and all that sort of thing. He's already obviously called her cell phone, more than likely from his cell phone. Like they couldn't track where that guy's cell phone was.
Yeah, it just sounds like they didn't take it seriously enough. So.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that after a while, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I think it is. All right. There's my disclaimer. After a while, in certain states anyway, if you can't serve a restraining order, after a while, it just goes into effect. You'll find out once you're arrested, you know.
Interesting.
I mean, come on. Do
kind of
something.
like a default sort of thing.
Yes. Well, we took 6 months to find the guy or whatever, and we couldn't find him. So
I don't feel that we're going to be successful until one of us has a stalker. So I'm in Northern California, Nick's in Seattle, Brewski's in Boston. Let's see which one of us.
Oh, you just mean on the podcast, right? Because we've already all had them on radio.
Yes. No, I need a marker for success in the podcasting world. One of us needs a stalker. So I got recognized from the podcast. That was my first check mark of like, oh, we're doing something. Someone recognized me, but
Steve,
now I need someone to I can hear Dottie freaking out right now.
It's part of loving Harness, Dottie.
So,
by the way, we can sign off on the show. You guys don't notice my new friend back there, huh?
Oh, you got some sort of skeleton thing going on back there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? Bring him into view.
This is a skeleton model of a tiny skeleton, and his name is Steve.
Maybe I do have a stalker. Why do you have a skeleton labeled Steven in your studio? That's odd.
Oh, I think it's so great. I
have a sex doll named Nick. I don't know if that's weird. But,
I found the skeleton this past weekend, and he was at home, and I initially named him Frederick. And I, came up with a backstory that he's a maitre d', and, I had a good backstory going. At some point over the weekend, I named him Steven. Because I think this goes along. I said something to Rachel about getting older, and she was like, "Will you knock it off? We quit saying that. Oh, we're getting a new deck." And I was like, "The material we're buying, we'll never have to replace it in our lifetime." And she was like, "You've said that like 5 times. Will you knock it off?" And I was like, "All right."
You have an unhealthy fixation going with how old you are.
No, it's an
rubbing
acceptance.
off on me.
It's an acceptance.
I don't think so. I think it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for me, at least. So
that's
if
why
you
his
can take it
name's
down
Steven. All right.
All right. I appreciate you going with the formal Steven, not just Steve.
Yes. Well, your mom listens to this show.
Yes. So, all right. Well, I hope everyone feels better informed about news going on in the world.
Need to know
I
news.
said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steven. It'll bring another show to an ending. Hit us up on our webpage, thevocalminority.net. Find all our socials, communicate with the show, spread the word, damn it.
Yes. And if you're listening in Nigeria, Africa, could you please tell us who you are? We're fascinated to know what you're doing there. So
until next week, gentlemen.
Peace, peace.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.